Hello and how are you, my students again? I believe you are still safe and healthy. And once again, I'm teacher Ibrahim, your teacher for General Studies and Communication Skills. This radio program is brought to you by the Rwanda Education Board in partnership with MASTECARD Foundation, together with Inspire, Educate and Empower Rwanda. As we all know, due to COVID-19, the government closed schools, and this was done to control the spread of the virus among the people. And for that reason, we have to study from home until schools open. Once again, we are talking about writing speeches. We have already talked about how to write and present a good speech. We talked about the elements of a good public speech. And today we are going to talk about the qualities of a good public speaker. I hope your notebooks and pens are ready, because you need to write notes for revision. You should also make sure there's no noise around you so that you can pay attention. We can learn how to improve our public speaking skills by understanding the characteristics of effective public speakers. These people possess characteristics that we should emulate to become influential and effective in public speaking. And they can also help us, these characteristics these people possess, can help us to overcome the fear and nervousness that is sometimes felt before you get involved in public speaking. Let us listen to an extract of one of the greatest speeches of all time and identify the different things that the writer says and does that make the speech one of the greatest.
Left you battered by the storms of persecution, and staggered by the winds of police brutality. You have been the veterans of creative suffering. Continue to work with the faith that unearned suffering is redemptive. Go back to Mississippi. Go back to Alabama, go back to South Carolina, go back to Georgia, go back to Louisiana, go back to the slums and ghettos of our northern cities. Knowing that somehow this situation can and will be changed. Let us not wallow in the valley of despair. I say to you today, my friend, even though we face the difficulties of today and tomorrow, I still have a dream. It is a dream deeply rooted in the American dream. I have a dream that one day this nation will rise up and live out the true meaning of its creed. We hold these truths to be self-evident, that all men are created equal. I have a dream that one day on the red hills of Georgia, the sons of former slaves and the sons of former slave owners will they be able to sit down together at the table of brotherhood. I have a dream that one day, even the state of Mississippi, a state sweltering with the heat of injustice, sweltering with the heat of oppression, will be transformed into an oasis of freedom and justice. I have a dream. My poor little children will one day live in a nation where they will not be judged by the color of their skin, but by the content of their character. I have a dream today. I have a dream that one day, down in Alabama, with its vicious racists, with its governor having his lips dripping with the words of interposition and nullification. One day right there in Alabama, little black boys and black girls will be able to join hands with little white boys and white girls as sisters and brothers. I have a dream today. I have a dream that one day every valley shall be exalted. Every hill and mountain shall be made low, the rough places will be made plain, and the crooked places will be made straight, and the glory of the Lord shall be revealed, and all flesh shall see it together. This is our hope. This is a faith that I go back to the South with. With this faith, we will be able to hew out of the mountain of despair a stone of hope. With this faith, we will be able to transform the jangling discords of our nation into a beautiful symphony of brotherhood. With this faith, we will be able to work together, to pray together, to struggle together, to go to jail together, to stand up for freedom together, knowing that we will be free one day. This will be the day when all of God's children will be able to sing with new meaning, my country, tears of thee. Sweet land of liberty, of thee I sing. Land where my fathers died, land of the pilgrim's pride. From every mountainside, let freedom ring. And if America is to be a great nation, this must become true. And so let freedom ring. From the prodigious hilltops of New Hampshire, let freedom ring. From the mighty mountains of New York, let freedom ring. From the heightening Alleghenies of Pennsylvania.
What you have heard is the famous I Have a Dream speech delivered by Dr. Martin Luther King Jr. in 1963. His audience was a gathering of people at the Lincoln Memorial, and the occasion was a march on Washington for jobs and freedom. In his speech, he was talking about bringing an end to racism and ensuring equal civic or civil and economic rights to all Americans. The speech marked a turning point in the fight for equality and brought together prominent civic leaders to press or to push the USA government for equal rights to both white people and black people. Now, it is important to learn to speak in public because this helps us build our self-confidence and self-esteem. As we have seen in our example or in our speech, we are able to develop communication skills and be confident and comfortable around other people. A successful person has to interact with many people, and if they do not have good public speaking skills, they may experience awkward moments and embarrassing moments. And sometimes you may say things that will embarrass you because you don't understand how to speak in public. And it is difficult to be successful without being able to influence other people. That is why it is very important that we learn from speakers like Martin Luther King and become very good public speakers. We also need to understand that there is a difference between an orator and a speaker. An orator is more than just a speaker, because an orator speaks with a lot of passion and creativity and masterfully crafts his speech or her speech to offer an inspiring experience to his or her audience. An orator will always seek to convince the audience of something rather than simply informing or entertaining them. Therefore, an orator is more than just a great, eloquent speaker. Some of the most famous orators of the recent history include former President of the USA, Barack Obama, very good orator, very good public speaker. Dr. Martin Luther King, whose speech we just listened to, former President of South Africa, Nelson Mandela was also a famous, wonderful public speaker. The famous Mahatma Gandhi of India, very good public speaker. Malcolm X, another American civil rights activist, just like Martin Luther, very good speaker. And then Fidel Castro, the famous Cuban revolutionary leader, and a few others. All these people changed the world and inspired so many people through their words or their speeches. And as a public speaker, an individual must have a certain set of qualities. If you're going to be a good public speaker, you need to have a certain set of characteristics or qualities that will make you able not only to be a good speaker, just a good speaker, but also a great orator.
Come along and play with us.
Then, the qualities of a good public speaker. Number 1, confidence. A speaker who exhibits confidence is deemed by the audience to be competent, credible, and well-informed. Confidence in a person enables him or her to control their tone of the way they sound. If you are able to control the way you sound, this will help to show people that you are confident enough. And it reduces stammering while you're delivering the speech. Making a public speech can cause a lot of anxiety and fear for many people. However, if you have practiced your speech thoroughly and you have prepared it very well, you should be able to compose yourself and be able to conduct yourself more confidently. And it is also very important to note that after making a few speeches, you become more and more confident, and you will have less fear as time goes on. Sometimes some confidence may come as a result of experience. You speak for a long time in front of people, you become better and better each and every time you speak. Enthusiasm. This means a strong excitement of feeling about something. A good speaker should be interested in the topic he or she is discussing. If you are not interested, if you're not very enthusiastic about your speech, it will be very easy for the audience to know. It will be so easy to notice in the way you speak. And in order to be effective while delivering the speech, you need to have some passion and excitement about your subject. The audience needs to feel your emotions for them to be moved by your presentation. Speaking about a topic you are not enthusiastic about will not achieve the same degree of inspiration and effectiveness that you may want in your audience. So make sure the audience sees that you are really excited about the topic you're speaking about. Number 3, humor. Great speakers find a way to make their audience laugh and become more open and responsive to the speech. A good sense of humor makes the speaker look confident and brings him or her closer to the audience. Having a good sense of humor also means having the ability to joke without offending anyone in the audience. However, make sure you don't turn an inspiring speech into a comedy show. Balance the jokes with a good level of seriousness such that your speech does not sound like a total joke, does not sound like you are simply making fun, especially when you're delivering a very serious speech. If you make too many jokes, you may never be taken seriously. If you make too many jokes, you may be considered simply a comedian and not a public speaker. Number 4, sincerity. Good speakers always care about what they say, and they always mean what they say. If the speaker acts differently on and off the stage, people will always doubt his or her sincerity and credibility. We talked about credibility in our last lesson, and we said the audience needs to respect and trust and believe what you say. If they don't, it means they will not listen to you. They will not pay attention to you because they don't believe in you, they don't trust you, you don't act sincerely. You should be able to walk the talk. You should do what you say, and don't start telling people to do as you say and not as you do. Some people tell people, do what I say, not what I do. If your actions contradict your speeches, then you will not be a good role model, and your credibility will be lost. Then, the other important thing is, or the next quality that a good speaker should have, is resourcefulness. Resourcefulness. Good speakers are creative in the way they use information to engage the audience. They also know how to create a warm and trusting environment with their audience. They also use a variety of media in their speeches. And because the times are changing, there is need to use a variety of technology as you make your speech or presentation. You can use a variety of things. You can play a video. You can use a PowerPoint presentation. You can use, instead of carrying papers to your speech, you may need to use a teleprompter such that your hands are free to move around as you speak. But if you're speaking and you're holding your papers, or you're standing in one place as you're speaking to people, sometimes, I'm sure you have seen those, the pastors in churches, they move around the pulpit and as they try to deliver their message or the word of God. And there's a lot of creativity involved in becoming a good public speaker. You need to be resourceful and creative and innovative. Think of ideas that will make your speech more appealing and interesting to your audience.
Come along and play with us.
Then, number 6, characteristic number 6 is knowledge. Good speakers yearn for knowledge. They desire knowledge and are always knowledgeable. Good speakers desire knowledge and they are always knowledgeable. They are usually very well informed about whatever they are talking about, and they have a good understanding of the topic that they talk about. They have a good understanding of the audience. They always choose appropriate content. And being knowledgeable about your content ensures that you are going to be able to deliver a successful speech. Appearing clueless when you appear in public and you don't understand, you appear like you don't understand anything that you're talking about, then your audience is going to doubt your credibility. Like we said, credibility is very important. And it is going to be such a very big mistake for you, a public speaker, to appear like you don't understand what you're saying. Your audience is going to get lost, and you'll also get lost. And at the end of the day, you can't convince your audience. Even after, you can't convince your audience that you understand what you are talking about. Number 7, organization. I hope we are still together. Organization. Good public speakers are very well organized and they prepare adequately before delivering their speeches. They also know how to organize their speeches so that the presentation is smooth and has no problems. You must take time as a public speaker. You must take time and prepare and organize your speech in a way that will keep your audience interested in what you're saying. Your audience must be interested in what you're saying. And this depends on the way you have organized the content that you're speaking about. The order in which you say things will keep your audience wanting more even after you finish. As you conclude, until you finish, your audience will want to keep listening. And it is very important that you achieve that. That's one of the most important things that you need to achieve. And it's only achievable if you are very well organized. And then number 8, you must be a very good storyteller. A good speaker uses stories to connect with the audience. A good speaker uses stories to connect with the audience. He or she A good speaker must find relevant stories to accompany his speech or your presentation. And they must be appropriate in terms of the content you're speaking about. They must be appropriate for your audience. And they must be appropriate for your purpose. Why am I telling this story? Who am I telling it to? And what am I trying to achieve as I'm telling it to them? Because you must make sure, as you add these stories, you must keep them simple and relevant. They should be simple and relevant, such that they can achieve the desired outcome. Now, you also make sure that you don't tell confusing stories to your audience. And don't tell stories that are too long. Sometimes if you tell a story that is too long, even yourself, you may get lost in the story. Your audience gets lost in the story. And you forget what you are trying to talk about, what you are trying to say. It is very important that your story is simple and relevant. Maybe you can use just 1 or 2 stories. Short stories that you can tell in about a minute or 2. Such that you keep the audience involved, excited, and happy and interested in what you're saying. And the examples must be relevant, and the stories should also be appropriate in terms of what you're talking about. If you're talking about inspiring people, the story should be an inspirational story. It should not be a story that is going to confuse people as why exactly are you telling us this story. If after you have told the story, people ask, why did you tell us the story? That means they did not learn anything. And you did not achieve the purpose of telling this story. Number 9, a good public speaker must have an effective voice. We have talked about this word effective for some time now. An effective voice should be a voice that is going to change people. A voice that will make people see things differently. Now, besides being able to make a good speech, good speakers should have a powerful and clear voice that will not make the audience unhappy. Sometimes when you're speaking and people start asking you to speak louder, people start holding their ears. If they ask you to speak louder, then you are speaking very inaudibly. They cannot understand or they don't hear what you're saying. Sometimes some people have their voices are too strong, not very well balanced. And when they are speaking, they appear like they are shouting. So the audience does not really catch what they are saying. And it is very important that you speak in a natural voice. Don't fake accents. Don't fake voices. Don't try to raise your voice too high. Don't try to make your voice deep. If you're a young man, I know young men enjoy having deep voices. Maybe you get 16 and you want to have a very deep voice. But if you force the voice to be deep, it is going to be very difficult for you to maintain it for 20 minutes. Unless you plan to speak for only 1 or 2 minutes. And then, you must remember that the strength and the clarity of your voice, how clear your voice is such an important tool in keeping your audience interested in what you're saying. So be audible and commanding enough. Commanding in a sense that the audience pays attention to what you're saying. They should feel like you're pushing them towards something and they want to be pushed. Sometimes to inspire people, you must push them. Push them with your words. Push them with your voice. Encourage them with your voice. Call them or ask them to do something with your voice. That's why it's very important to have an effective voice, a voice that can change the lives of people.
Come along and play with us.
Lastly, number 10, maintaining good eye contact. As a speaker, you must make sure that you maintain good eye contact with your audience. Moving your eyes around the audience usually builds trust between you, the speaker, and the audience. Do not keep your eyes on one person because the audience may start wondering why you're looking at this particular person. And then they may think you're just speaking to that particular person, so they don't pay attention to you. But keep your eyes moving around, looking at different people, and then directly addressing them. If you address one person in one point, you look at these people, will feel like you're addressing them directly and you're speaking to them, and they will feel like they are part of what you're saying. Keeping eye contact will help the audience be involved or engaged in what you're saying. You can easily directly address them. So do not keep your eyes on one person, but keep eye contact with as many members of your audience as possible. Even if it is a very large crowd of thousands of people, look at them directly. Talk to them, and your eyes should be on them as you speak. That's why if you're going to read your speech, then you must make sure that you are directly addressing these people. Now, those are the qualities of a good speaker. I want you, as we prepare for the next lesson, I want you to write a speech on a topic of your choice. And do not be afraid to present it in front of your family or your friends. You may become the next Mandela or Martin Luther King. And next time, we will look at the role of communication in our world today. I want to wish you good health, and I hope you make wonderful presentations for your family. Your family should be proud of you as you become a good public speaker. Good luck. I hope to see you next time. Bye-bye.
Goodbye, 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 teacher. Goodbye, children. See you next time. Goodbye, 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 teacher. Goodbye, children. See you next time.